into the new millennium, the most powerful nation on earth wrestles with its problems. Nearly 300 million Americans tax an aging infrastructure. 250 million vehicles of every description elbow for space on our highways. Environmental concerns of the 1990s have become 21st century priorities.
And yet, incredibly, reliance on the automobile throughout most of North America not only continues, it accelerates, except where logic prevailed. On the Florida Peninsula, the Florida Overland Express sprints along the eastern edge of a rejuvenated Everglades. The Fox, the nation's first high-speed rail system. Barely 30 minutes out of its modern passenger terminal within the Miami Airport complex, the Fox will arrive in Orlando an hour from now. Less than 60 minutes from its Orlando departure, the Fox will breathe the still morning air of Tampa. Among the 300 passengers, business travelers, families, students, and tourists, some are just along for the ride. For them, the Florida Overland Express is the destination. The history of Florida's high-speed rail system has been well documented. Before the turn of the century, in the 1990s, the Florida Department of Transportation presented an innovative plan to make the system a reality. The idea was to create a long-term partnership with the private sector to establish an easily expandable, practical, maintainable, appreciating asset, a safe, comfortable system to immediately connect Miami, Orlando, and Tampa, and soon after, Jacksonville. Eventually, other business, tourism, and population centers would be included. It was to be an efficient system, publicly owned, privately built, and operated. The private sector partner was chosen. It was the Florida Overland Express Group, a consortium comprised of 4 of the most respected names in transportation, construction, program management, and infrastructure. There was Fluor Daniel, the largest publicly traded engineering and construction company in the United States, with unquestioned worldwide management and maintenance capabilities. They were responsible for Miami's Metromover and more than 290 other significant projects throughout the state of Florida. There was Odebrecht Contractors of Florida, civil construction experts in 21 countries on 4 continents, responsible for the expansion of Dade County's mammoth Golden Glades interchange, one of the largest and most complex interchanges in the world. There was Bombardier, a world-class manufacturer of transportation equipment and the largest provider of rail cars in North America. It was Bombardier that manufactured and supplied rail cars for the newly expanded Tri-Rail and the Tampa Airport People Mover. And there was Jacques Alstom, an internationally acknowledged leader in the field of energy and rail transport, developer of proven TGV train technology, utilized in creating the fastest, safest passenger trains in the world. That was the team in 1995. It is still the team in 2007. And just look at what the Florida Overland Express Group has created and maintained.
Dad, the shuttle's here!
Things are different in the year 2007. There's a greater awareness of how costly it is to maintain a highway system. We still drive cars, of course. We drive them less. Intermodal connections, like the Fox's own door-to-door shuttle service, have made the automobile just another travel option. Other passengers arrive in clean, modern train stations via newly expanded bus and light rail systems.
How's Dylan?
Great, he says hello. So listen, as soon as we get on the train, we're going to fire off some faxes, and then we'll have some breakfast.
How about breakfast first? I fax better on a full stomach.
Okay, we'll make the dining car our first stop.
Oh, let's go.
Great.
Almost there, guys. All right, here we go. Almost on the thing. All right, let's get going. Woo!
Bags are checked curbside and are automatically routed with you to your final destination.
Thanks. We're
And
looking
that's
forward to it.
particularly convenient if you're making an airline connection.
Orlando, sir.
Yep, that's right. Orlando.
Check it straight through for you.
Thank you.
Wow. Awesome. Is Grandpa going to be on the train?
No, honey, but he's waiting for us in Orlando.
Is he going to take me fishing?
I think he just might do that.
Now arriving on track 1, the Florida Overland Express from Tampa and Orlando. Arribando en el carril número 1, el Florida Overland Express de Tampa y Orlando.
Yeah, business tonight.
You know, I don't know a soul in Miami. I just like to ride this thing.
Hey, man, don't even worry about it until we're north of West Palm Beach.
Wait a minute. That means that I have less than an hour to try to figure out how to tell my parents about those grades?
Well, if you had a 4.0 like me, you'd have nothing to worry about.
That's right.
Get out of here. Nobody invited you.
Passengers for Orlando and Tampa, please prepare for boarding on track.
Mom, the train's here. Come on.
Come on, guys.
受かったから行こう。
切符買うのにどこまで行ったの？
あ、一番近いATM まで。
やるのがすごい。
Let's get going. Yeah, in a little while we're going to get a train's eye view of the Everglades. Come on, sweetie, let's go this way. Let's go, all right.
Watch out for the alligator.
Oh, I think the alligators better watch out for you. And come on over here and sit on this side. Where are you? Get over here now.
Honey, why don't you color in right over there?
That looks great.
Wow, I got 1,500 points.
All right,
Well
good boy.
done.
Is Mickey on the train?
No, honey, but he's waiting for us in Orlando.
Mike, don't wander too far, okay?
Okay, Dad. Excuse me.
But I think I can figure this out.
Hi, I'm Mike. What are you doing?
Hi, Mike. It's a little hard to explain.
Looks like a computer modem to me.
Think you're pretty smart, little man, huh?
Looks like you're trying to download a GIF file from the server through an ISDN fiber optic link.
Like I said, I'm downloading this GIF file.
In the past 12 months alone, more than 5 million passengers have enjoyed the speed, convenience, comfort, and safety of the Florida Overland Express. Electric power moves the Florida Overland Express quickly and efficiently along its new state-of-the-art network of tracks. Train and track noise is kept to a minimum. There is no 24-hour highway roar, just the occasional whoosh as the train glides by. The right-of-way uses just a fraction of the land required for new highways. Special pass-throughs have been created for wildlife, while unobtrusive fencing keeps them safe from passing trains. And how does this new system affect the roads that cross its path? Actually, not at all. There are no automobile crossings anywhere along the train's route. Roads over or under the tracks keep automobile traffic moving smoothly, and raised tracks allow for undisturbed boat traffic along Florida's waterways.
Hi, I'm Mike. Are you someone's grandma and grandpa?
Yes, we are. And there are 6 other someones waiting for us in Orlando.
My grandpa's waiting for me at the station.
But while the Fox prides itself on its quiet presence, its impact on Florida's economy has been anything but. Construction of the system in the late 1990s and the first few years of the 21st century created thousands of new jobs for Floridians. When the system started running, additional jobs were created.
on the trains, in the stations, and in the construction of intermodal transportation systems that link the Florida Overland Express to airports, seaports, and most important, to the homes and businesses of Floridians everywhere.
Hi.
Hi. Is this your first time on a train?
ごめんね、私英語喋らないから。
Yeah. It's my first time too.
ありがとうございましたと思うけど。
Hi.
And then there are the tourists. Not only has a high-speed rail system enabled more tourists than ever to see more of Florida than ever, it has become a tourist attraction in itself. If Florida's high-speed rail system had been built without negative impact on the state's sensitive environment, that in itself would have been an accomplishment. But its positive impact has been undeniable. As an attractive alternative to auto travel, the system has helped improve Florida's air quality and lessen the need for highway construction. A new levee was built along the edge of the Everglades to help the Water Management District fulfill its mandate to protect the fragile environment. The levee was able to accommodate the tracks, and the benefits continue to grow. Water management groups were able to maintain freshwater within the delicate ecosystem and keep saltwater from leaching into the glades. The levee also slowed the encroachment of runaway development and served as the perfect platform for the longest new bike path in North America, the Eastern Everglades Bikeway, nearly 60 miles long from Miami to West Palm Beach. The arrival of the Fox created even greater awareness of the Everglades by exposing its grandeur to millions of awestruck passengers. Suddenly, the Glades were everyone's concern. The Fox was a perfect match for the environment. Clean, swift, and remarkably quiet.
Do you know why this train is so quiet?
I don't know. Do you know?
Yeah, sure. It's because
It's the continuous welded rail.
Tickets, please.
Oh, yeah. Here you go. Here you go.
10 years ago, a high-speed rail system for the state of Florida was just a dream. In other parts of the world, the system was a reality. France had one, England and Belgium had one, and Korea's was already underway. Germany had one, and so did Japan. Spain, Sweden, Norway, and the Netherlands were also reaping the many benefits of high-speed trains. Today, Florida alone among the 50 states enjoys the Florida Overland Express. And you have every right to ask, who paid for this transportation miracle? Who made the investment of billions of dollars in Florida's future? It was a unique partnership of private and public investors. The Florida Department of Transportation treated the proposed high-speed rail system much like a highway project, except that private investors would bear much of the financial responsibility. Private sector expertise brought FDOT's vision to life by designing, financing, building, and continuing to operate the Florida Overland Express. Even though the infrastructure they built, this continually appreciating asset, is owned by the state of Florida. And the state's part of the partnership? Initially, Florida reallocated just a small portion of its annual transportation budget. Dollars derived from existing gasoline taxes and other transportation revenues. Dollars that were already earmarked for Florida transportation. By any standard, this was a sound public investment. The expertise and financial stability of the Fox Consortium members brought our high-speed railroad up to speed. The Florida Overland Express has been a financial success for the state and the residents of Florida. It has generated steadily increasing revenues and has provided a consistent flow of income to the state. By making an investment in the least intrusive form of modern transportation, Florida found the way to keep the state an attractive environment for its residents and for economic growth.
I can hear you pretty well. Can you hear
and
me?
And now, in the year 2007, while the rest of North America examines the success of the Florida Overland Express, the fouling of our air and increasing demands on our highway system continue. Except in Florida, where logic prevailed.
Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen, to another fun ride here on this American Rail Club adventure. It is your host, conductor of this wild ride, Demetrius Villa, followed by our engineer, our resident engineer here, Ruben. Again, since you guys love having Ruben on board, welcome again, Ruben.
Thank you for having me here. It's great to actually see people like my input. So, well, I'm gonna stay here for the entire ride.
And I'm gonna like your input because I have not had dinner, and I'm gonna have steak and shake because it is basically summer here. It is like 80 degrees down here, which is why I'm wearing the American Rail Club shirt, and also got some US of A pants here. So yeah, we are. It is all American up in here, and I'm gonna have some steak and shake. We're not sponsored by Steak and Shake, but yeah, that would be nice. It's something we can all afford, hopefully. But yeah, welcome aboard, everyone. Let's see who's in the comments over here. Let's get this stream started. And by the way, guys, you can now see over here on the right side, we got your comments are up on board on stream, forever immortalized in the interwebs on YouTube. So that's the cool thing. So I'm adding a little bit step by step here and there, but it's been a pretty good couple of news articles that we're going to go over. And I apologize I wasn't here last week because I was having a terrible headache and my throat was off. I did not have to cough, thank God. So I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm safe. I'm good to go right now. But we're going to be going over a couple of articles over here because now Brightline is now officially halfway there. I know we had a stream that said Brightline is halfway there, but now we are officially 50% complete. So let's see who's in the comments over here. Hello, Grambo. Hello, Akshar. Yes, everybody loves Ruben. And Holly's in the comments too, so she's saying hello and welcome to everybody. So yep, here we are. Hello, Adam. Hello, Matt. Hello, Elliot. Hello, Johans. All right. So we got a full house today. All right, so let's begin with this. Brightline's Orlando to South Florida rail expansion is now more than 50% complete, and we got some video also as well from Facebook that we're going to go over and check that out with some words from Mike Reininger. But yeah, this is pretty cool because now you can see the vehicle maintenance facility. This is off Boggy Creek Road in Orlando near the airport. So here we go. As an Orlando native, Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings recalls how Walt Disney envisioned EPCOT, which EPCOT stands for Experimental Prototype City of Tomorrow. That's what it stood for. So if you guys, that's your little tidbit for today, what EPCOT stands for, Experimental Prototype City of Tomorrow. It's a futuristic experimental... Oh, the guy just told it again. I'm just repeating myself here. Starting with a robust transportation system. At Wednesday, Demings addressed a crowd in the towering steel framework of Brightline's future 154,500 square foot higher speed train maintenance facility just south of Orlando International Airport. And Demings commended Brightline for reaching 55% construction completion of its 170-mile expansion from the airport to South Florida. Okay, so it's 55% complete, guys. I think that's what we're heading for. But yeah, this is pretty cool.
It really is.
Yeah, and then look at this. This is what the artist rendering of Brightline's future. So this is what it will eventually look like. So you're just seeing just the steel frame over here. They're just putting it together, and this is what it will eventually look like. Which most of Brightline's renderings have been on par with what they've envisioned and what they've built out. But yeah, let's actually go ahead and see some of the footage over here, so you guys can see how it was over there. See if I can put that.
The idea that Miami and Orlando could be connected by a modern, comfortable, high-speed train, the likes of which exist in many other parts of the world, but are really only a novelty in the United States, was first born in about 2012. Back then, it was just a conversation and a strategy.
As an airplane flies overhead.
Today, it seems the entire country is engaged in the same conversation that we started in 2000. So as we start this morning, I'd like to begin people who were instrumental in moving the idea that we're here to celebrate from what was once just a conversation into the reality that's all around us here today. Just a few. First of all, Congressman John Micah and his wife are with us here today, and he was one of our very first and most fervent supporters. He's been in our camp now for about a decade. Congressman, thank you so much for being here with us today. And I'd also like to offer some very special thanks to Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer and Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings. Their support and their leadership have been at the core of the cooperation that has made all of this happen. And we thank them both for their continued support of our progress.
So there you go. Look at that. So, yeah, this is all possible because you have cooperation between private companies, between governmental officials, both state and local officials coming together to make this happen. So this is where the future's going. I mean, Ruben, your thoughts on this?
Oh, it's actually pretty cool. Actually, I have to admit, keep in mind, I'm a European, I'm a Belgian, so it is gonna sound like some praise, but somehow I'm actually kind of jealous about Brightline. No, really, yeah, I'm really kind of jealous because they're building really fast and they're building really extensive. So we don't have that progress in Europe. Not anymore. It's all slowed down because of red tape. So seeing something getting built that fast on schedule, and they know what they're doing. So I'm actually pretty jealous. So yeah, they're actually doing a pretty good job, and I'm already planning on my vacation. Probably gonna land in Orlando and take the train to Miami.
Yeah. Florida is open. It looks like nobody's wearing a mask or anything like that. So I mean, everything's just back to normal there. There's no social distancing or whatnot. Now I don't know what will happen afterwards, but it seems that everything is back to normal over there. So yeah, you guys can go ahead and see this on Facebook. Yeah, so this is the future, folks. I mean, it's been happening, it's going, and I know you guys saw the Florida Overland Express. So that was a good video to put that with. That the dreams of the past are not dead, which is it's kind of sad that something like that didn't actually happen because it was a pat down, really good plan. Of course, you're not going to be downloading GIFs now at slow speeds on a train, or with your Nintendo VR or whatever. Back then, it was pretty funny. Just wearing the power glove, and it was so 90s, so 80s. I love that thing, by the way. But hey, but I mean, we're at least moving forward. So this is one way forward. And I know a lot of people keep asking, oh, why didn't Brightline go ahead and go full high-speed rail and go fully electric? Because that would have taken forever. A, B, they already had the right-of-way for the Florida East Coast, so it was easier to get it done that way. That's just the reality.
Yeah, I mean, also it's pretty understandable from a business sense, like a way. I mean, if they want just pure speed, they would have just built through the marshes, through the glades, through everything, through the nature, straight to Orlando. But business like it wouldn't have made any sense. It would have been so expensive, and there would have been so much red tape. It would have actually been impossible to build. So I think the corridor right now is actually pretty neat. And let's be honest, 125 miles an hour is way better than 0 miles an hour. Right.
That's what I say. We're moving forward. Some people are asking about what's going to happen with California high-speed rail. We will be talking about California high-speed rail because some more things in the news have come out on California high-speed rail. I know every time we say that, it's like, we hold our breath and we're like, what's going on now? What now? But it's some good news. That's what we're talking about. There is some good news at least.
They're moving ahead.
Let's get some light in here. All right, but yeah, this is a good thing. All in all. So let's see. Let's just finish this off. So Brightline operates a smaller facility in West Palm Beach, but the Orlando complex under construction is across 62 acres. So it's going to be their biggest area. And they said that Orlando is going to be the home base of Brightline because Orlando is the most central part of Florida. B, it's the second largest metropolitan area after that. And there's a lot more international connections through Orlando. And because they're right at the airport, it makes it easier for somebody coming into the country or coming in, from out of state or somewhere else to go into Orlando and then circle around the state where they want to go down to Miami, where they want to go straight to Tampa or to Jacksonville when that expansion happens. But yeah, this is where we're going here. So yeah, they went ahead and autographed one of the beams here, one of the steel beams, steel rail near the podium stage. So yeah, look at that. So things are happening. So there we go. From left, Patrick Goddard. You have Mayor Buddy Dyer from Orlando. You have Mike Reininger and County Mayor of Orange County, Jerry Deming. So yeah, it takes a whole crew of people to get it done. So I know some people are, there are some there in the crowd that say, oh, you shouldn't be doing private companies. Private companies have to work with the governments anyway. So it's got to get done some way or another, right? That's the reality, folks.
The thing is, I don't really make it the difference between private companies and state-owned companies as long as they do something. And at this point, the private company is being more efficient than the state company. And if they want to make money, they want to make big bucks, and they get out of the trains. Who am I to complain?
Yeah, right. Some. I mean, look. The government picks winners and losers all the time. We've seen them just in the last year. They've given over $50 billion to the airline industry in order to keep them afloat during the COVID-19 pandemic onset. And in that, they promised, okay, we're going to give you $50 or $55 billion, whatever it is, just, debt-free or loan-free. I think it was a grant. It's probably not a loan. And if it was a loan, they're never going to pay it back. But they went ahead and gave them the money and said, don't lay off anybody and don't fire anybody. And the airlines are like, okay, we won't. And then a month later, we're laying off everybody. That's the type of things that happen in this country. And we will talk a little bit more about, where funding goes and all that. So let's talk a little bit about California. Okay, I know we're going from one to another here, but let's talk about that. Because there are some good things coming out of California, which it seems like Governor Newsom is trying to impose more investment into there, which would be a good thing because California does need it, so they can finish up the Central Valley and just get moving to the rest of the state. Because the longer they stay in construction in the Central Valley, and I think we talked about this a little bit, Ruben. The longer they stay in construction in the Central Valley, the worse and worse it's going to get from support from both sides.
Yeah, people want to ride a train, and if you want support, let them ride something, let them use something so they have an idea of, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the purpose.
Yeah, and this is here we go. So high-speed rail misses out on California's massive budget surplus, but the bullet train is getting back nearly $1 billion in federal funding. So they're still going back and forth on proposals over here for the state. So this is basically what's going on. So they're not getting all the surplus money from the state that they need, but they are getting now the federal money that was promised during the Trump administration. Well, prior to the Trump administration, it was already approved. Trump kept that back as a scapegoat and basically a card on the table because he was fighting back and forth with Gavin Newsom about funding for the wall. Now that Trump is out of the picture, and by out of the picture, he's completely out of the picture. I mean, he's basically not anywhere near there. But anyway, now that it's Biden in the picture, and Buttigieg, and we're going to talk about a little bit about Buttigieg because he did an oopsie this week. But with that now, that funding has been unlocked and reapproved for California, so they're getting that money back. And Gavin Newsom is seeing that if they can be able to get more money, $4.2 billion through the bonds that was approved back in 2008. So let's look at this. Well, it's more than that. It's like $11 billion, but 4.2 for the first segment to get that finished up. So let's see. So instead, the money would come out from the bond voters approved in 2008 to start the high-speed rail system that promised to eventually take riders from San Francisco to Los Angeles, tapping funds that were already raised to pay for the project. That differs from a proposal several leaders of the state legislature have made to divert the bond money to other local public transit projects, which they argue would provide more immediate benefits. And that's sort of the problem, because putting... I get what... And we've talked about this. I get what their whole reasoning was for, of putting and starting the construction in the Central Valley for California high-speed rail. The problem is that you're starting in an area that, A, is not as supportive of high-speed rail, and B, you're basically ignoring the constituents that did vote for it. Because now you have people in the Bay Area and also in Los Angeles. These are a lot of them, Democrats that are saying, stop giving money to California high-speed rail, give us the money so we can have our own projects done. So this is the crux of the problem, and this is why I keep saying that now. California already put themselves in this situation, so we can keep talking about it. We can keep saying they should have started to Los Angeles and San Diego. It's not going to get done. Okay, not until they finish up the Central Valley. So right now they have to finish that up. They have to get it done. So if not, more stuff like this is going to happen, where there's going to just create more contention between other local municipalities. So hopefully, so the governor hardly skipped on infrastructure spending. His budget revision adds $6.8 billion for other transportation needs, including $1 billion for projects related to the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, $1 billion for other priority transit and rail projects, and $2 billion for improvements to highways, roads, and bridges across the state. So he's trying to put in more money into there, which is perfectly fine. It's just you got to move the timeline up. It's got to get done. I mean, Ruben, where do you say this? Because you're in Europe, so you've seen the bulk of a lot of public government-run projects, and a lot of them have been run well. But what have you, in terms of timeline? What is it that California is doing wrong that the European counterparts have done right?
Ooh, that's a difficult one to do, but the thing is that in Europe is pretty good at is sometimes our planning phases can be quite long. Sometimes we plan over 10 years, we just plan something, but when we mostly build it in less than 5 years. So what I think California did wrong here was they went too much on voting and too little on planning. They were like, oh yeah, we got to vote for this, we got to vote for the high-speed rail plan, boom, they got the votes, and they're like, okay, we got to build. So they started building, and then they came to the conclusion that they didn't plan everything right, so they had to keep planning and building and improvising at the same point. And then they come to the conclusion that, okay, our timeline is completely wrong. And now they're probably realizing the project, what they've been doing, what they're starting, how big it actually is, and now they're starting to realize that their planning is actually completely off. So in Belgium we have this expression in Dutch that's called "bezint eer je begint," which actually means think before you do something. So that's what I think California did wrong. They didn't think properly on what to do. Now, I can also say this, they have to actually finish the project. They have to finish what they're building now. In Belgium, we have this town called Charleroi, which is actually quite similar to the town in Pennsylvania. It's also called Charleroi. And in Charleroi, they started building a metro network, and it's still not completely in service. And some lines have been built unfinished since 1985 because it just stopped funding it. And that's the same thing that's going to happen to California, the current project, if somebody would decide, you know what, let's cut funding. And then you're going to waste more money. So California, first, plan out before you start something. And when you commit to something, go all the way, because else you're going to regret it so much.
Yeah. And that goes into my biggest fear about this project, that they get the Central Valley done, and the project has become so toxic that nobody wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole, and then it just basically stays in the Central Valley area between Merced and Bakersfield, and it will never go down to Los Angeles, and it will never go up to San Francisco, which is what people voted for in Prop 1A back in 2008. So we're talking about proposition. And you said the timeline is like a 5-year timeline when they go ahead and build something in Europe, which from what I've seen and from what I've researched, that's about correct. When they, go align and start, it's basically like, 10 years of planning. And then once they get, shovels in the dirt and everything, it's 5 years later when trains and passengers start going back and forth. The problem is that California has been building and building and building for forever now. It's been more than 10 years since 2008. We're already, going into 13 years away from it. And, I mean, well, the project has been planned out since the 90s. So, again, this whole entire thing, and again, it's not that I'm against the project. It's not that I'm bashing anybody in particular in the California High-Speed Rail Authority. I mean, because they've changed so many hands within the upper sector of the authority. But the problem is that this is taking way too long, and it's going to cause an issue. So we're looking at this support the portion that could be built without more federal money. Okay, so they need more money now in order to go ahead to finish building Merced to Bakersfield. All right. And of course, there's some other problems that we're not going to touch it in this stream. That they only have single-tracked areas and some tracks that are going to be going for high-speed rail trains going at grade crossings, that's a bit of a problem, which is not what people voted for and not how you build high-speed rail. So the other thing is that even if this doesn't get done, let's say worst-case scenario, everything stays like this and it just doesn't move forward, right?
Yeah.
So you have Brightline that's now going in between this area between Las Vegas on the I-15 from Las Vegas over to Victorville, then to Palmdale, and then hopefully connecting down to Los Angeles. And I've seen a lot more support from both Republicans and Democrats within the Los Angeles area now shifting over to Brightline. So some people are asking, can Brightline buy out this project, or can they take over California high-speed rail? That's all going to depend. By far, it's nowhere near a joke anymore. Brightline is going to be the first high-speed rail train running in California. That's not going to be a joke. That will be for real. Brightline will be running a train before that, and when that happens, again, I try not to curse on the show because of YouTube, but it's going to ensue a media shitstorm. There's no way of saying it. It's going to ensue something like that because this is something that the voters have voted on. It's taking so long, and now you got something that is not necessarily a competitor, but another option that is not going into here. I mean, it's because of California High-Speed Rail Authority that we have garbage like the Hyperloop floating around. Okay? So if you want somebody to blame of why we have the Hyperloop, Elon Musk put it plain and clear. He blamed it squarely in the first 2 pages on the California High-Speed Rail project. So it's causing a lot of issues. Can it be done? Will it be a good project when it gets done? Absolutely. But it's getting to the point where we got to get this done. I don't know how many times I got to say it. We got to get it done.
Yeah, that's the entire key. But no, it's actually pretty concerning to think about it. The rail transit project being executed so poorly, that's actually motivation for a alternative that's basically a fight.
I know.
Think about what are we doing here. But the thing is with the California High-Speed Rail Authority, you can't blame the workers building the train line.
No, and I absolutely agree that we should have, I don't blame at all. The workers are doing as much as they can. It's not at all the workers' fault. It's the people up top that go ahead and they pay for 12 different. Darn, I'm blanking out here. I gotta get some something to drink over here. We still got some Saint Bernardus Pater 6 from Belgium, so we're gonna put some of those in. But you got consultants. So they got 12 different consultants in here. None of them know what they're doing. They're just coming in for the free money from the government, and I got it perfectly set on there. Look at that. That's perfect. There we go. Proud. I know. Teaching me well. Teaching me the European ways well. But the thing is that when they go ahead and spend all this money, okay, what does Brightline and Texas Central Railway do? They go straight to companies that know what they're doing. Okay, Brightline goes straight to Siemens or goes straight to a lot of the German company because they had a lot of people from Germany and from Switzerland that were consulting with them. because they had a lot of material from OBB and Deutsches Bahn, and they were looking. It's like, yeah, we want to make it look like the German trains, like the German sleeper trains, and all these other things, and they wanted to put all those amenities, and the night jet. So they were looking at all that. Texas Central Railway is, of course, with the Japanese. And they also have the Spanish and the Spaniards in there also through Renfe, trying to go ahead. Well, not trying. They are getting consulting, and they're going to be running the operations for it. Mm-hmm. California still has not picked an operator. California has still not picked out even the rolling stock. Although it seems the rolling stock is going to be Siemens. At this point, I think Siemens has the upper hand in the United States in building the rolling stock because they already have the facility there in California, A. And B, they've already built for Brightline, and they can easily go ahead and build Intercity Express Valeros for California and for a whole bunch of other projects, especially since we're ready for Brightline West. That's going to be that thing. I know a lot of people keep asking about what's the rolling stock's going to be. Like, again, we're keeping on the news with that. It's any day now that they're going to say it's Siemens. I can bet money on that.
How much are we going to bet?
I don't know. I'll think about it, but I'm pretty sure if don't bet Bitcoin right now. Let's stay away from that. Which I've been telling people for a long time. Like the minute you start seeing people like, speaking of Elon Musk, people like that get into Bitcoin, get out. It's the same thing like what happened in 2018. Let's put it this way. Like I didn't invest anything this time around. I was just waiting to see what was happening. But the last time, I made a good amount. Let's put it this way. I made a good amount in order to go ahead and get a trip to Japan and move myself over to Indiana. But this time around, I'm looking and seeing. I'm like, I don't have something steady right now. So I'll just watch and have fun with that. But if you guys are still holding on, stop holding. Get out. You're gonna get the rug pulled underneath you. But let's
short selling. That's where you're gonna make more money.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, this time, short it now. Let me see if I can move this over here so you guys can see this, because some people don't believe me when I say that. No, Elon Musk did actually say this about this. So this is page one. Page one. Hyperloop Alpha. This came out in 2012. Which, by the way, there is no Hyperloop. Okay, it's BS vaporware garbage. So they moved two people at 120 miles an hour. Whoop-de-doopity-doo. Okay, it's still nothing. It's still nothing. Okay, and I know there's a lot of naysayers out there. Oh, you're gonna regret it. A billion years from now they'll actually get a Hyperloop system. Give me a break. Okay, give me a break. Go. We could take this Hyperloop and where you can put it. There you go. So, but here we go. Background. When the California high-speed rail, and he puts high-speed rail in quotations, was approved, I was quite disappointed, as I know many others were too. How could it be that the home of Silicon Valley and JPL, doing incredible things like indexing all the world's knowledge and putting rovers on Mars, would build a bullet train that is both one of the most expensive per mile and one of the slowest in the world? Note, I'm hedging my statement slightly by saying one of. The head of California High-Speed Rail Project called me to complain that it wasn't the very slowest bullet train, nor the very most expensive per mile. The underlying motive for a statewide mass transit system is a good one. It would be great to have an alternative. And then he goes into the whole, this whole garbage toilet rag about the Hyperloop, which I've read it all multiple times. Like I said, and I put this before, even if he were to get the whole thing done, it's still nowhere near as effective as high-speed rail. You're moving what? At max 800 people per hour in your little tube system. You can't beat one Shinkansen, one N700 that can move 1,000 people in one train at a turnaround time of 2 minutes. Okay? You're not going to. That's the game with high-speed rail. It's capacity and its efficiency. The Hyperloop is not efficient.
I mean, and a high-speed train is basically an Airbus A380 on wheels.
Yeah, except it's a lot quieter. It's a lot more efficient. And it wastes a lot less energy.
And doesn't get scrapped after 14 years.
Yeah, or basically, dragged around this carnival show, dragged around with the seats and with Branson and a whole bunch of these. A whole bunch of these grifters going around and doing the shilling for the Hyperloop. Shills and grifters is the shill and grift show. But yeah, this is what we're hopefully California can get this done, because if this doesn't, I do think that once Brightline here's another one of my brilliant one of my more brilliant. Man, I'm speaking of brilliant. I'm at a loss for words over here. But here's one of my other predictions. One of my more brilliant predictions. Once Brightline gets Brightline West moving about, Hyperloop is done. That's it. That's going to be the end of it. I think that when that happens, it's over. Nobody's going to be talking about Hyperloop anymore. That's what I think. Unless you guys in the comments have something else about it, but go ahead. If you want to, we do have the Discord open up, so you can go ahead and go up on Transport Central and join us over there. Join me and Ruben and see if you guys have something to say. You can go ahead and say it. So we do have somebody next in line. But if you're all, by all means, come out and join us. So we're 31 minutes in. Again, we're talking about this, about California. So I think we'll go ahead and give it a break there. So let's bring who's next in line. So we have David Mitchell on the line, who's a regular here at the show. So let's go ahead. Yeah. Let's go ahead and welcome in David. Hello, David. You're on.
Oh boy, I got a big rant for you guy today.
Oh boy.
Big one.
Is it about California or what?
About the transit system that they have planned here in Charleston, South Carolina. Like, they're planning to connect Charleston, downtown Charleston, to Somerville and Goose Creek, which are the very highly populated area. It's 500,000.
Are we talking about? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Are we talking about the Amtrak plan in South Carolina?
No, I'm talking about they decided to do a bus transit system. Out of everything, they decided to do a bus transit system.
Okay, yeah, I think you talked about this the last time. Again, I'm trying to keep it on topic. But yeah, I get what you're saying there about the bus system, and again, things like that. It's not a permanent solution. It is just a temporary solution that is just there to patch things up, and not really move the ball forward. And the way we can move the ball forward is with rail.
And thing is, I looked at, they have a video of what it should look like the bus transit system, and I just face on myself saying, you gotta be kidding me. Because this bus transit system is going to be a straight up failure, and it's a terrible idea because they're going to put it on one of the most active roads in Charleston. One of the make busiest roads here in my city.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. It's a terrible idea.
Well, let me ask you this, David. Do they have any DOT meetings on it that you can attend online and voice your opinion out on it, or any commenting periods or anything?
They don't talk about it online. Like, they don't schedule meetings. They just keep it on down low, you know?
Okay,
and
well,
talk to our people when they really don't talk to the people that really need to talk to.
Yeah. Well, at that point, you got to go ahead and either call your Department of Transportation, see what they're doing, and just make your voice heard at that point, because at some point people will hear about it. I mean, even here in the state of Indiana, we're getting some things done now, which I'll share a little bit about that later on. So I can try to teach other people how to be able to get into your Department of Transportation's comment sections and be able to share, your concerns, and that we do need more rail in this country.
Because there are already tracks that we can actually use for transit here in Charleston. Like, there are already tracks built that we can actually use, and people don't realize it. Like, in downtown Charleston, we got the cruise port. Like we have an area in the port where cruise ships come in, and that area, we have old train tracks that are not used anymore, that go right into the area where the cruise ship terminal is.
Yeah.
We can transform that into a dual terminal for train and for cruise ships, meaning people who can get off the cruise ship can get on the train and be moved around Charleston. And the tracks, they go all the way through, smack dead right in the middle of Somerville and Goose Creek, and we can extend it down to King Street.
Yeah, like I said, man, you got to get into the Department of Transportation and make this known. So I guarantee you that if you look on South Carolina's Department of Transportation website, they probably have some sort of plan. So look, I'm gonna see if I can look here and see if that actually exists. So I'm pretty sure they do have some sort of comment period that you can be able to get on and make yourself known. So yeah, here's look at this. So there has a public involvement portal over here. Let me see if I can just put this on the screen over here. So yeah, look, go on there, check out this public involvement portal. It looks like you can make public comments on some things, and they do have meeting schedules. So take a look at that. There's an online comment period. Let's see, we're looking at Wednesday, May 26th. There you go. There's a public meeting for rural road safety projects. Just go over there, and even if it's about roads, just go ahead and say, I'd like to make a comment on the entire project of this project as a total. Okay? Worst case scenario, they throw you out. All right? And at that point, you have something to be really ticked off about. But most likely what will happen is that they'll thank you for your comment, and then somebody will probably email you and say, hey, look, we have a rail-specific one that we're having, maybe a month from now. Get involved with that, and you can do that. Okay? That's really what could happen.
Because I see areas that we can actually bring back tracks in, and actually add new tracks to work our transit system and improve Charleston mobility, because we can't do that all by busing.
Exactly, David. And that's why it's so important to get active in those groups, that you actually, the thing is, actually, if you have an agenda right now, just get your pen and your notebook and write in, on the 26th of May, just attend that meeting. Just say, yeah, this is about road maintenance and renovation, but we should also have space for public transportation. And talking about public transportation, how about this project? And get the snowball rolling off the hill.
Yeah.
So now if we are successful with it and we get our way, there are going to be a couple ticked off NIMBYs, because we will have to destroy some bike and walking trails that there were previous track on. So the NIMBYs are not going to be happy, but it will be beneficial because some of the bike trails, and they pour concrete all over it.
Yeah,
but it don't have to be cleared up.
Yeah, you're going to have to be able to do that, David. But I thank you for coming on board. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, man.
Of course. Take care.
You too. Have a nice night.
You too. All right. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, about getting involved in your public space, because I know it's something that a lot of people have been starting to do. Okay, and I know a lot of people have asked me, how do I get involved? Specifically, how do you get involved? Okay, if you go on your state's transportation website, okay, Department of Transportation, like I just did there for South Carolina, they do have public commenting periods, and by law they have to have it. So you can. It's a lot easier now. You don't have to drive anywhere. You don't have to drive to any meeting spots because of the COVID restrictions. It has been a lot easier to just go ahead and be in your pajamas, or be pantsless if you want, and go ahead and be in part of these meetings. So let me show you guys one of my involvements here for Indiana. Okay. So I went ahead and asked the question, well, what is the state of Indiana going to do for passenger rail transportation and transit? What specific projects are we doing? Okay, so let's listen to that if I can put that.
Comment? Vanetta, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, I think it's Demetrius Villa. Thank you. That is a Great question. And I want you to be aware that Indiana is investing a lot of money in rail, particularly commuter rail. So right now our focus is on double tracking the South Shore line in Northwest Indiana and completing the Westlake extension, which will take the line which will make a connector from Dyer, Indiana to Hammond, Indiana, which would connect with the South Shore. So I just want to put that out there because Indiana is spending a lot of money on rail, particularly its commuter rail, and we are very involved in planning what we will do with passenger rail in the state. So on the 19th, we have our last stakeholder meeting for the state rail plan, and if you are interested in attending that, just drop a note in the chat with your contact information and I will get you an invitation. And yes, we are everyone that works in the passenger rail industry, particularly on the state side, is excited to see the amount of interest and money that's going into revitalized passenger rail in the United States.
So there you go. See, that's look at that. And here's the great thing. Okay. And the good thing, at least here about in the state of Indiana, that people here are very nice and people here are very courteous. So she went ahead and gave all the information. Vanetta here, who's the head for rail transportation here, and when they say rail transportation, it's both passenger rail and for freight rail, because it's mixed here. So different departments of transportation will have it different ways depending on how much and how heavy a passenger rail you have, but. She gave a good, complete, concise answer, and not only that, invited me to go ahead to another meeting, which was just rail specific. So this is very easy what you can do, guys. So you can just go ahead, and a lot of these they're either putting it on Zoom or on Facebook, which Facebook is better because then you can see everybody's name out there, and you're not gonna have some troll going ahead and streaking through the meeting on Zoom or something like that, which has been happening for a while. But this is a great way to go ahead and now connect with people. And then afterwards, a couple days later, about a week or so later, I went ahead and went through to the meeting that they had for the Indiana Department of Transportation Plan. And lo and behold, they had the highest amount of attendance ever. They had 75 participants, which they said was the highest ever that they ever had. So even in the state of Indiana, which a lot of people go ahead and knock that, oh, Indiana's a flyover state, nobody cares about Indiana. We're getting a lot done, okay? So if we're getting a lot done here, there's other states that are also doing it. Of course, Florida's number one when it's coming to passenger rail in terms of new construction of passenger rail. But it's being done in a lot of other places too. So this is what I'm saying, guys. Where it's going to be done is going to be through your states. It's going to be done through your states. The federal government is not going to go ahead and make up a magic federal plan. Okay? As much as they can. And of course, I do think Seth Moulton's plan is probably the most concise and the best probably area that it can happen. And even in that bill, they're talking about making it easier for states to gain funding and make regions stronger through rail. Okay?
Yeah.
Which is what we need, yeah.
It's actually pretty funny because, I don't live in the US, not yet, but, I've been active in politics and in the speaking competitions, and I'm probably one of the most, regarded public speakers in Belgium, and, you don't have to be the best public speaker to actually make a point, because this is quite interesting, because in the US you have a lot of elections, lots of votes, so, politicians they don't say this out loud, but they are afraid of you. They're afraid of the vote. So if you're gonna keep saying like, we want more trains, we want more trams, we want more light rail, politicians are gonna listen to you. So right now we are like 44 people online watching this live stream, and in video on demand there are probably like 2,000 people watching this video. So first of all, share this video around, make more people watch this video. But more importantly, keep this in mind. If a fraction of everyone watching this would, go to their Department of Transportation and voice their concerns, it doesn't matter what state you live, but you can always make an impact.
Yeah.
Don't forget it, you can always make an impact. And
Look at this,
if
yeah.
you voice their concerns and talk about trail, people are gonna listen. There's always this one person that's gonna listen to what you're saying, and those public meetings, there's always a journalist present, always.
Yeah, that's the other thing, and again, people in this day and age don't understand that there's always something listening. I'm not trying to get into schizo territory here, saying they're always listening to you on your devices. You gotta smash them, guys. Now I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that there is always somebody in all these meetings. They are hearing you. There's at least one person that is hearing you, and I get it. There may be some fuddy NIMBYs that don't want to listen to anything, and they'll just be there to collect the public toll and just take everything and just go in the meetings and just vote present half the time. Okay, but there's at least one person there listening. There's at least a journalist there listening, and it will be on your local newspaper. Okay, because that's happened to me a whole bunch of times when I was with Brightline. They went ahead and interviewed me and say that you can see here that somebody a millennial and somebody who you wouldn't think would be politically active is here now supporting Brightline. Okay, so it does happen, guys. It does, and it's even easier now because now you don't even have to go in person. You can go ahead and just type a comment like you're typing here right now. So it's easy to do it. So look at this, and they do collect information when you do on these polls, and they do put it out there. So look at this: if passenger rail service was introduced or expanded in the region where you live, what types of trips should you consider on the train? Please select all options that apply. 92% of people say trips from Indiana to neighboring states such as Illinois, Michigan, or Ohio. Okay, so again, it's not just about the state, it's connecting the entire region, which is where high-speed rail works. Okay? Imagine how fantastic it would be that you can just go ahead and take a day trip to Chicago if you live in Indy, or to go to Cincinnati, or if you live in Columbus, Ohio, to go over to Chicago. Okay? The possibilities now become endless. You don't have to drive. You don't have to pay for ridiculous gas prices now. You don't have to go through Ohio and and rip your hair out because people are driving too slow over there. You can now go ahead on a high-speed train if you have the option. And look at this: trips to connect with other travel modes, airports and transit hubs, 75%. Trips within Indiana if the service traveled at high speeds but made limited stops, 74%. So look at this: a vast percentage of people support high-speed rail and would use it, even in the state of Indiana, a very conservative state, by the way. So again, everybody agrees that they want high-speed rail. Trips within Indiana if the service traveled at conventional speeds and stopped in many communities, 66%. So it seems that most people want limited stops, high-speed rail. So this is important information, and this is good information. Trips to and from work, 33%. Okay, because I know we sometimes talk about how easy would it be if you lived in Orlando and worked in Miami. It gets expensive, and that's a little bit too much of a commute. Okay, and then only 2.5% said I would not use passenger rail service in Indiana. Okay, that's minuscule. It dries like dust in the air. Okay, so you don't even have to worry about that. But again, look at that. Look at all the information from that. And then they did ask some questions here, and of course they asked about freight railroads, but we're talking more about passenger rail. Let me see if I can get one of the comments that were said here, because they said that everybody could go ahead and comment and said what would you use high-speed rail for, or what would be the best what would be one of the best things that you would come out from it. So they did have a public comment period, and they were asking people questions. Let me see if I can find. Here we are. So here, what do you think would be the greatest impact of reinstating passenger rail between Indianapolis and Chicago will have? So again, this sort of thing is what people want to bring out. So let me see if I can put this over here and try to move it so you guys can see it, because again, with the comments here on the side and with everybody trying to look over here, so yeah, everybody's getting the 15 minutes of fame. Again, you're on public comments, okay? And I get we like to have fun here on the show, but try to keep your comments to something you would you could have your mother here, okay? Maybe not that PG, but let's see. So look at this: huge impact on our ability to retain new residents and retain our young people. This is a great step forward. fewer car tricks, better for the environment. And I said the impact will be showing that passenger rail can be successful. I don't have to step on a soapbox to talk anymore about what I said. Look at this. It would increase our family's interest in vacation excursion trips to the Chicago region, resident retention. It will help attract young professionals to Indy, young professional attraction, economic development, including recruiting and retaining employees. We need to compete with our neighboring states that are making significant investments in high-speed and passenger rail. Since somebody joked, continue resident exodus from Chicago. Not too many people are big fans of Chicagoans here in the state of Indiana. I think that's already been known. More into city commerce, higher quality of life. People can live where they want to and still work in Chicago as long as there's Wi-Fi on the trains. More business expansion opportunities. Reduce congestion on I-65. Economic development, partnership opportunities. So look at that. It's so easy, guys, to get involved right now in your local passenger train politics. Again, just go whatever state you are, okay? And if somebody's in the queue, we can go ahead and check it out in their state if they want to try this. But you can go ahead and check this out, and it can be done. It can be done. All right?
Yeah. If you need some, feedback from us, just don't be afraid to talk to us in the chat group, or join our Facebook group, or Discord, or send us a message on Facebook. Like, we're here to help. If you have questions like how do I voice my opinion in a Zoom call or something like that, just don't worry, we will help you. Like, this is something we're all in. We're all gonna help each other get America better rail transportation. We're all in the same boats.
Yeah. Now look at this. So we have João Neves. I'm a Brazilian living in the Netherlands, but it's still very interesting to watch these lives about railways. Thank you. Yeah. So again, it's a global movement. Everybody wants better transportation for the country, and everybody wants to see the U.S. succeed. Because if the U.S. succeeds, the rest of the world succeeds. Again, there's some arguments you can go about that, but again, condition 18 said 92.1%. Come on, people. If that's not a reason to build HSR, I don't know what is. It's again, yeah. And this is from a very conservative state here. There is not one train I would not take no matter where it is going. Yeah, anybody could take a train anywhere. Who conducted this Indiana survey? It was the Indiana Department of Transportation that conducted the survey. Look at this. Yeah, a whole bunch of cities that you could do. Atlanta, Dallas, Denver, Houston, Kansas City, and Minneapolis are the large cities that can have daily 2-hour service. Yeah, very easily. We are starting passenger service in southeast New Mexico. As things are now, we have to take a shuttle bus to Albuquerque to get on a train. Yeah, that's insane. Someone's asking about the HART train in Hawaii. Never. That's never going to happen at this point. You think California's bad? The HART train in Honolulu, that's a whole other mess. I don't even want to touch that on this channel because that's a whole other bundle of I don't know what. Again, I wish the best and success for these projects, but when you delay, nothing can come good out of that. So yeah, and again, if you guys want to come on the Discord server and Transport Central, again, links in the description. Come join us. We'll talk about this. So let's talk about, speaking of Republicans and Democrats, let's talk a little bit about what both parties have been up to. Okay, and you guys know I'm not a fan of either party for numbers of reasons. I basically see them as one uni-party that basically just works to do nothing. But anyway, apart from my nihilism about local American politics, I mean, look, there's actually, you can do a lot of good in the local politics. I think we have a lot more that can be done in local areas that can be done in the federal level. But this is something else. So Republican committee leaders introduced the Starter Act 2.0, an investment in roads, bridges, transit, and highways. So they're coming up with their own plan of what to do about rails and transit. Again, this is in response to the Biden plan. So this is from committee ranking member Sam Graves, a Republican of Montana, and other Republican committee leaders today introduced a long-term surface transportation board. Okay, I'm not going to get into the weeds of it, but let's go into it. So again, they're talking about the legislation puts true transportation infrastructure first and prioritizes building a resilient transit system, said Railroads, Pipelines, and Hazardous Materials Subcommittee ranking member Rick Crawford, Republican of Arkansas, a co-sponsor of the bill. So these were a lot of people who were on the same meeting that we saw 2 weeks ago that we were talking about, the railway plan. So again, a lot of these members, and things are changing. So they're talking a lot more now about rail transit, which at least there's something good in this, okay? The Republicans are actually now talking about rail transit. Not as much, but they're now starting to squeak about it, which is a good thing. So they're authorizing $400 billion over 5 years instead of $2 trillion, so they want $400 billion. The largest percentage increase for surface transportation programs in the last quarter century. Prioritizes proven programs that address core infrastructure functions by improving our core system of highways and bridges, facilitating commerce and focusing on safety. Again, so the same, just key words here that they can just keep pushing around. Meets rural America's infrastructure needs by investing in small and rural communities where 71% of public road mileage runs. Streamline project delivery by cutting red tape, which I do think is important. And one of the only good things that Trump did for infrastructure, although he didn't do that much for infrastructure as we would have hoped he would have done. Putting federal dollars to work faster to improve our transportation system. Ensures flexibility for states and non-federal partners. Okay? Now, again, remember what Brightline called for. Let's see if I can bring that up here. Where was that? I had the article over here. So here we go. Brightline CEO to Congress. Congress needs to do more to encourage high-speed rail projects, okay? So notice that everybody in the room went quiet whenever Mike Reininger talked and whenever they wanted to talk about Brightline and bring in more information about Brightline, okay? Brightline was the bright spot in this whole entire subcommittee. Apart from Amtrak has some good things, but Amtrak, when they kept on trying to find ways to say that we're the only high-speed rail operator in the United States, it doesn't look good. It's kind of salty. You don't need to rub salt in everybody. We know, okay? don't try to yeah, I know. But look at this. So he said this on May 6th. Okay, and now look at what the Republicans are bringing up now. Now they're actually trying to put that in a bill. Okay, which I think if we can consolidate the good areas of this bill, along with the amount of money in the other bill, and push more of that towards rail, that could actually work. Okay, and again, it's not a federal project that's saying, well, we need to build here and we need to build here and we need to build there. No, it's making it available and easier for these projects to get built. We already have players. Okay, the players are on the board. Now we have to make it easier for them to get on there and move around the board. Okay, if we want to think about it that way in a sort of RPG or D&D situation, make it easier for the players to move around. Okay. The dungeon master doesn't go ahead and tell everybody what to do. There's just giving out the rules. That's what we're trying to do. So look at that. Reporting more resilient infrastructure because every dollar invested in mitigation and resiliency saves $4 to $11, reduces risk and saves lives. Okay, but when you look at the bill, let's see. Control F rail. There's not that much for rail mentioned. There's about 53 mentions here. Let me go ahead and move this again. I gotta find a way. You can't really do that in OBS, but at least we have it that you can see everything here and the comments. It looks like everybody's having a lot of fun in the comments, which I'll be going back and forth in the comments, and we'll be bringing on. I'm watching that. Yeah, we'll bring on the next round of people who want to come on to the show and come on the voice chat. In about several minutes or so.
Yeah, just join the Discord. We can have fun on Discord as well, and you can actually have fun with us. Have a talk with us.
Exactly.
Say why we're politically wrong or why we're politically right.
Yeah.
Or, have a free talk. You have 5 minutes.
It's always fun. It's always fun. So here we go. Secretary of Transportation has established a discretionary grant program to be known as the Better Utilizing Investment to Leverage Development Transportation Grant Program, or an excuse to try to make the BUILD acronym, which is always what they do in government. It's always funny. They always find ways to make it, some sort of acronym. But here in this, eligible applicants, states, local governments, tribal governments, transit agencies, port authorities, metropolitan planning organizations or MPOs, political subdivisions, federal land management, a whole bunch of people, and mostly in the states and local governments. So what can you be able to do? You can be able to make public transportation projects, passenger and freight railroad transportation projects, including port infrastructure investments, intermodal projects. So yeah, this is what they're trying to put in the plan. Now again, not as much money, but they are talking about the railroad revitalization, subsidies, and so there are some things here about rail. So the Republicans are now starting to talk a little bit about rail, which is a good thing. Now, now we go from one side that they're talking now a little bit to the other side that now wants to make everything is infrastructure, which I've said that, yeah, infrastructure affects a lot of things, but you can't call everything infrastructure. So let's watch this. I think this was not a good thing, but. And I know it's RNC research, but I get it. But let's watch this here, so you guys can see what I'm sort of talking about.
Gotcha.
You ever hear the expression, all politics are local, Mr. Secretary? So you're the transportation secretary now. So
by the way, so let's some background on this. So CNBC's Joe Kernan, which I don't know who that is because I don't watch TV anymore. I don't watch the news on any cable television anymore. It's all garbage. Calls out Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. You're claiming everything under the sun is infrastructure.
We're proposing,
and we'll go into that.
A usage for the term infrastructure that Republicans would say includes every wish list from the Democratic Party going back 50 years. As a transportation secretary, do you now, and be honest with me, do you now just wish that we'd look directly at what your domain is? Roads, bridges, airports, throw in, some internet and Wi-Fi. Let's do $700-800 billion, do it with Republicans, get it done, give me my infrastructure, transportation, and do not try to do everything at once. Tell me that you believe that, but I know you won't.
I mean, look, as the org chart goes, I'm the roads and bridges.
Doesn't have to be so mean.
The transportation part is the piece that I work on. But when I think about why roads and bridges matter, the fundamental reason they matter is they make it possible for Americans to live lives of their choosing, right? Whether there's a good road to get you where you're going is going to help determine whether you can go to school, whether you can go to work, whether you can see your family.
That part makes sense.
The same thing is also true of the other forms, the broader forms of infrastructure we're talking about. They're all part of the foundation that make it possible for us to live well. Now, I don't want to get bogged down in a semantic or philosophical argument over what to call something if it's a good policy, right? I mean, you're describing these as democratic items, but these are things the American people want. No,
Mr. Secretary, you might as well just tell me, you need those roads to drive to free college and free child care, and therefore I want to build them so that, come on.
Well, no, I think all this fits together because, look, you can either organize your thinking around the org chart of the federal government, or you can organize it around what the lives of human beings in this country are actually like.
Then you can make that jump to everything under the sun is infrastructure. We should spend $100 trillion and give everything to everyone because that's what their life is. You can't do. We don't have the money. We don't have the wherewithal.
We do have the money, though. That's the thing. Like we abundantly do have the money because the bill is paid for, right? And the real question is.
Now, here's the funny thing. Buttigieg is right. We do have the money. I mean, look, at this point, anybody saying we have to balance the budget, it's done. It's over with. There is no budget to balance. There's nothing to balance. It's done. Okay? The country is $30 trillion in debt. You might as well take whatever money we can and spend it in everything that we can. That's the truth. No one's going to say it, but I'm the only ones here telling the truth, okay? Everybody's going to say, well, we have to be, we have to be cautious with our money and how we spend it. We have to balance the budget. It's never going to be done. It's done, okay? Look at China. Look at how much they've built, and everybody says, well, China's in massive debt. You think they're going to pay their own debt? They're just going to forgive their own debt. Okay, but here's the thing. In 10 years, they have the largest high-speed rail infrastructure system in the entire planet. Okay, within 10 years. Okay, yeah, they're enslaving people, they're doing all that, but guess what? Nobody's doing anything about it. Okay, and they're polluting the planet, blah blah blah. But guess what? No one's doing anything about it. China's gonna do whatever it takes for China to win. What is the U.S. doing for the U.S. to win? That's the problem. Okay, the U.S., and I'm not saying to win in a sense that we have to beat China or anything like that. We just want the United States to have an infrastructure system that's modern. We want to have jobs. We want to have, places that we can be able to, and we want to be able to, have jobs that will, pay a living wage. Again, I know people keep saying, though, $15 an hour. Well, you move things to $15 an hour, and then everything else moves up. Okay, and that's true. And inflation right now is not a good thing. Okay, and it's just getting worse. Okay, so we need a large public works program. Okay, we need more rail, we need more infrastructure so we can get ourselves to work. Okay, more blue-collar jobs, okay? Because imagine now you have people in factories, okay, where Ford and Chevy have basically moved everything outside, and Dodge too, and Chrysler, okay? That's the funny thing. American companies are making their cars in Canada and Mexico and in Korea and China, of all places. And the funny thing is that there's more Japanese companies and German and European companies that make cars here in the United States than American companies. That's actually for real. But we just need to have more jobs available, more blue collar jobs. Okay, because those are more sustainable. Okay, not work in a cubicle and make Excel sheets and PowerPoints for your retarded boss. But let's go ahead and build things so we can have the things here for this generation to be able to enjoy life and to be able to build something and feel good about ourselves, so we're not all depressed all the time. Okay, because this is the problem. Okay, the thing is with the bill, with the Biden's $2 trillion infrastructure plan, we get it. $80 billion for railways is a great thing, and $85 billion for public transit. The problem is that the bulk of it is going to $400 for home and community care. Okay, again, and I know that people don't like it. Some people don't like it when I say it. Okay, but this is $400 billion going to boomers. Okay, let's be honest. It's $400 billion that is being on top of Social Security, on top of Medicare. Look, boomers are fine. Okay, they're fine. They have houses. Okay, millennials don't. Okay, remember that graph I keep coming up with, that 30% of millennials don't own their own home, but in China, 70% of millennials there in China own a home? Okay, that's a problem. Okay, giving more money to people who already have things is not how you build infrastructure in this country. And this is where I kind of do agree with the Republicans, or whoever this Joe Kernan dude is. And saying, yeah, you cannot, this is not infrastructure, okay? $400 billion going straight to railways or public transportation will do a lot more, will do a heck of a lot more than, look, if grandma and grandpa have their house, if you want grandma and grandpa to stay at home, you need to move the kids out, okay? Having 30% of millennials without a home and 70% of them staying at home with mom and dad and grandma and grandpa, okay, paying for grandma and grandpa more money is not going to help, Millennial Tim and Zoomer Timmy to move out. Okay, giving Zoomer Tom and Millennial Tom and Zoomer Timmy an actual job that pays him well, so he can learn how to weld and learn how to do stuff and work on the railroad or work building trains or Shinkansens in Texas, is going to do a heck of a lot more. All right, rant over.
Actually, that's pretty interesting because I personal story time, but it actually is a great connection to your story, to your end actually. But
yeah,
I studied trade in high school, and now I'm studying journalism. I will be studying international graphics, media, and design and management, and blah 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 in college in the US somewhere. But I actually work I volunteer at the Museum Railroad, and actually know how to work with metal, how to weld, how to treat metal, how to restore metal, and actually landed me a student job because I know how to do skills. So actually investing in infrastructure, and with infrastructure I mean the actual definitions, such as infrastructure, the basic physical and organizational structures and facilities, exemplificatia, buildings, roads, power supplies needed for the operation of society and enterprise. That's infrastructure.
Yeah.
You're gonna invest. You're gonna create jobs, and you know, one of the biggest reasons our generation is so miserable is because we don't have actually future prospects. Because what's the biggest job you're going to think about? Oh, we want to do something with computers. No, we want an actual job. We want to construct things. We want to build things. So imagine if they would invest $400 billion. It's still not a lot of money compared to the financial powers of the US, but imagine if you would have $400 billion. Chat, imagine this, $400 billion for infrastructure. And what would you invest at? $400 billion for rail,
Exactly.
Imagine what you could do with that. You would have the Californian high-speed trail project immediately built.
Exactly. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, let's take the $400 billion. Let's not put it all into public transportation, but let's put it in fours, right? You put $100 billion more to roads and bridges. Put $100 billion more to power grid and clean energy. $100 billion more to public transit. $100 billion more to railways. There you go. That will do a heck of a lot more. Or maybe just $400 billion to just, you know, get people into trades and getting them to work on public infrastructure bills. Okay? Because look, and again, you guys think I'm joking about this, but this is for real. Okay, so here we are. The country where 70% of millennials are homeowners. And again, you can't take this. You take this with a grain of salt. Okay? Because again, you know, maybe a home in China is probably, you know, living in a little box. Okay? Again. But they still own it. It's still theirs. Okay, it's under their ownership. Okay, and this is owning a home. This is not renting. This is owning. Okay, China 70%, Mexico 46%, France 41%, the U.S. 35%. 35%. Okay, so what does that mean? It means 65% of millennials do not own a home. Okay, it means they're either renting or most, because again, a lot of millennials are still living with mom and dad. Okay? And again, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're trying to pay off college debt, which, by the way, our biggest debt bubble, the next one, is going to be college debt. Okay? I'm not going to get into what we should do about that or whatnot, because that's not what our channel is talking about. But we're talking about infrastructure. And yes, home ownership has a lot to do with infrastructure. Okay? But it's only getting worse. So again, 35%. Okay? And what did China do? China did massive infrastructure projects. And people that are our age over in China own homes. Okay? So, again, take it with a grain of salt or whatnot, but yeah, it's the reality. Okay? And this goes for other places as well. You know, when you build more infrastructure, it is going to get better. Because look, it's getting worse before it gets better, guys. So look at this. Millennials priced out of home ownership. Let's see, 29-year-old Patty Treacy has been house hunting for nearly 2 years, and even with a six-figure household income, getting into the market seemed tough pre-pandemic, but now it's proving to be even harder. And Gavolia looks why being priced out in home ownership in Canada. It's even worse in Canada, by the way, because there's a lot. And I've talked to some people who live in Canada, especially if you live in a place like Vancouver. And again, funny enough, it's actually a lot of Chinese that are buying up these houses for cash. They're not even bidding it. They say, like, you know, you're selling the house for $300, but we'll put in cash, you know, $350. You know, we'll go there and buy it tomorrow. Okay. But what are you gonna do if you know you're getting, you know, even a six-figure salary, if you still have to pay off student debt, and you have maybe $50,000 down to pay off a home, and to get a mortgage on top of that, you're not gonna beat somebody, you know, who's come out of China and's made millions of dollars because of their PRC connections. And they'll go ahead and buy a house for their kid that's going to college in Vancouver. And again, this is the type of things we need to do. Again, there's a whole bunch of things we should do for the housing market, and I agree. Houses should be for just, they're not investments. They're places for living. Okay, they're not to be swapped out like, you know, the boomers always do. It's like, oh, this house is just an investment for me, so I'll buy like 5 houses, and then the housing market will always go up. No, that shouldn't be allowed. That should be stopped. I agree with that, but you know, that's part of it. And again, here we go. Millennials don't stand a chance of facing a second once-in-a-lifetime downturn at a crucial moment. This was from last year for the pandemic, because every time we get up on our feet, and I personally have been a part of this, every time we get up on our feet, everything comes crashing down. Okay, just like the older millennials that happened to them during the 08 recession, and then us for the younger millennials that happened, you know, this one. It's just going to keep happening. We've never really gotten out of the 2008 recession. We've been stuck in that. I'm going to be honest. That's just the reality. So yeah, sorry there for the for a little dose of reality, guys. But this is why it's important that we need to get more involved. We need to get, yeah. Okay, so again, you have your departments of transportation in your states. Okay, what's the solution? Get in there, start making yourselves known, start talking about passenger rail transportation or any type of rail transportation. Okay, because we know that with rail transportation is the most efficient part of getting people back to work and also getting people moving around the state. All right, so yeah, that's what we got to do. Let me see. Let's see here in the comments. Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, there's an issue in China where nobody is talking about the elderly population, which that's why China made it a rule now that you have to take care of your older folks, because a lot of the younger ones there, again, this is what happens when you grow up in a secular society. All they care about is money, so they're not going to really care about, well, I don't know how you would say grandma and grandpa in Chinese. I mean, I can only know like in Japanese. Nobody's gonna care for Obasan if you just want to care about getting millions of dollars and getting rich quick on Bitcoin. But yeah, there's some pros and cons about that. I'm pretty sure life in China is not all sunshine and rainbows. Probably not at all for a lot of people. But the thing is that when we're talking about the long term, okay, 20 years from now, I mean, well, let's look back 50 years, right? Or even like back in the 1950s, okay? You all remember the movie A Christmas Story, right? Which, funny enough, happens here in Indiana, where Ralphie's brother is not eating his food, and the mom is going like, "Oh, you gotta eat the food. There are starving children in China." Okay, 20 years from now, will be starving children in America. Okay, because look at how things have switched. Okay, we made fun of China because they were starving themselves out because they started killing off sparrows, and they were getting raged over by locusts, and they were eating each other. Literally, there was cannibalism all over there during that. But now they have high-speed rail all over the country. We don't have that. Okay, so who's laughing now? Who's laughing now? It's not us anymore. It's not us laughing about it. So there is a lot that we need to do, okay? For us, for our country, for our people, we need to start building infrastructure here, okay? It's now not a nicety to have. It is a must do. And the more we talk about giving more money to everybody who already has money, the worse it's going to get. So there needs to be something done. And again, this whole thing about affordable housing, this is just more about zoning than it has to do with affordable housing for millennials, because it's not going to do anything. Again,
I mean, if we're going to talk about affordable housing, let's just call a spade a spade. Let's look at San Francisco. The biggest disaster.
Oh yeah, look how much they spend in affordable housing.
Yeah, what's the biggest issue over there? There being housing. I like the historical neighborhoods of San Francisco. It's actually pretty neat. But the issue is that they're a bit too stringent. If you would have some high rises over there, with apartments, and it would immediately, the demand and supply would immediately restore itself. And the thing is, with infrastructure, this is actually the fun part about infrastructure. Infrastructure, especially trains, overcome the fixed supply and demand line. This is like a very fun trick in economics, but imagine this. Imagine if you have city A with very high supply and very low demand. What you're going to get houses of $1 million, $1 million checks.
Yeah.
Now imagine this, city B, 30 miles away, is a very high demand, very low supply. Now imagine if you would connect city A with city B with a train line, and this is what's going to happen in the US. What you're going to get is people are going to see like, hey, I can live in city B and work in city A. Both cities are going to win because city A has a lot of economic wealth generation. We're going to generate a lot of economical wealth, and city B is going to enormously profit from that economic gain because people who work in city A actually take the money to city B and spend it over there. Both cities win. And that's the same track with the US. If you're going to invest in infrastructure, you're going to get a city A, a city B situation. That way, everybody's going to win. But you got to invest in infrastructure for that. And I mean actual infrastructure, not the, floaty infrastructure definition, but actually genuine infrastructure. And that's why it's so important, people, to actually invest in these meetings, in the state's Department of Transportation meetings.
Yeah.
You gotta get the voice being heard, and you gotta say like, hey, infrastructure is just more than having a light rail train run through this street. It also means actually giving us a future and generating lots of economical gains. Because when I look at Minneapolis has, by the creation of light rail, generated over more than $50 billion of wealth just by the light rail, and
right.
LA generating way more. So, you know, it's also a very economical story, but also a story about, you know, people, their livelihoods, actually having a life. So
yeah.
That's why infrastructure is so important.
So let's look at this. And again, this was from last year, but this is the sort of things that happen when you have large infrastructure projects. And I've seen this when I've visited Florida, even before I left Florida. There was a lot of building for apartments near the stations. And again, yeah, apartments have their pros and their cons. Okay, but it's still some sort of housing. Okay. So look at this. HGG lands $29 million for a West Palm Beach affordable project, right there next to the next to the station. And there's actually more. If you go to Fort Lauderdale and to West Palm Beach to the Brightline stations, you're gonna see a lot of development for apartment buildings. Even in Aventura, there was a whole bunch of like townhouses and apartments that are built right over there next to where the station's going to be. So everybody knows that, yeah, when people want to be next to these stations when they get built, because now you're adding in transit-oriented development, and it has to be from a transit-oriented development mindset that we have to be thinking about these projects. It's not just about, we're going to have rail and then we're going to have, choo-choo trains go from point A to point B. It's not just about that. It's about a lot more. There's a whole larger space of encompassing. So yeah, Pete Buttigieg is right that there's a lot more that encompasses about infrastructure. But the mistake that his administration is making, I'm not pointing it all on Pete. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other people in the background that are pulling the strings here of pushing for other ways to waste money. Okay? Again, he's right that infrastructure encompasses a lot. But you don't encompass a lot to build infrastructure. That's the confusion, and that's what needs to be fixed. And I think we'll stop talking about that. We'll end about it there. But let's look at what's going on in other places over here. Actually, let's go ahead. Let's go to our. Let's see who's next in line over here. We have Aegis, Auric, Virginia. Here we are. Let's bring him on board. Aegis, Eric, you are on board. Welcome aboard. You may be on mute.
Aegis, you probably have very interesting things to say, but you gotta unmute yourself first.
Yeah. And again, anybody in the queue, just keep on track. Again, I apologize. It may be delayed, so by the time you hear about that you're online, it may be a little bit later. Maybe like 30 seconds delayed.
I'm gonna share the link in the chat again, so please join the Discord. Just join the Discord if you want to have a chat with us. Like, say, like, Demetrius Rubin, your politics are wrong, or if you want to have
you want to debate us, I'm more than welcome to that. Okay, but so far we haven't had anybody that's disagreed with us. I think we've been on point with a whole lot of things.
We should go into politics then.
Yeah. I don't know. I would like if on YouTube that you can just bring up a poll.
Oh, hello there.
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome aboard.
As you know, I'm always outstanding. I mean, right now. I'm just right now chilling. Had a very long day. Had a very big family gathering. My dad's going over to Kuwait.
Oh, wow, wait, he's getting stationed in Kuwait, or?
He's going over for Kuwait for a year. He's helping out. He's going to be the big cog in the U.S.'s plan to withdraw from Afghanistan.
Oh, wow, good luck to him, and hope he stays safe. That's good to hear, though.
It's a safe place. You don't need to worry.
Yeah, I know, yeah, but I'm just it's always just nice to be on the safe side. But anyway, there's a lot going on in your state over there in Virginia when it comes to the Amtrak plan.
The Amtrak plan. In fact, we got a station being built down the street.
Nice. Yeah, let me see. I think there was there was an Amtrak meeting a bit ago, and they did have a lot to talk about in Virginia.
I don't think I was there, but but I want to get into my day for a bit. So,
okay.
My day. So we had this big going away party, and I feared that I was going to devolve into one of those big family arguments, oh, I believe this, oh, I believe that, and I just had oh God. I was just having such a good time that I literally almost forgot we were having a meeting tonight.
Yeah, I know, it's alright, yeah. Like, again, I think we're going to make this more of a Saturday thing instead of Friday, but we'll see what you guys think. I don't know if it's better Friday or Saturday, but I think we've been doing pretty good with the Saturday things.
Yeah, we have been. I think we're doing a lot better. But back to our business. As you know, I've been the victim of induced demand for a while. As you know, as most of you all know, the Hampton Roads has been victim to the ever-progressive nagging despot of highway expansion. So I haven't been campaigning on that for a while because I have school. But it's just that since some of my family's coming down, I had to essentially debunk some of the rumors about getting expanded. There was some family members saying, "Oh, it's good that the new highway is going to get expanded." And I just said, "Not so fast. You got to I was showing the statistics at the big, and some of them aren't buying it."
Yeah, well, it's what it is. I mean, don't they have any other meetings over there in the Virginia DOT? Or, I mean, I understand that you're in school. But, I mean, yeah, a lot of things that I did for Brightline. I mean, I was in university for most of the time.
No, this is high school.
Oh, in high school. Yeah. I mean, you can still make comments. It doesn't matter what your age. You can still make public comments as long as you're a resident of the state.
Yeah, I know. It's just that's another thing I'd like to basically heap on for some of the big DOTs is that they need to make their, in my opinion, they need to make it a lot. Is that even though it's online, that doesn't mean it's easy to get on the site. It's not very accessible, so you have to do it. And they also put it on dates when the least people are less likely to show up. So it's gonna be able to say so the big important meetings, in my opinion, are all just combined with these little teeny tiny little with these not I'm gonna say they're not important, but they're minor.
Yeah, look, and they're gonna do that. Some do it on purpose, and some that's always the times that they've been doing the meetings. It's just a lot easier now to get into them. I mean, you don't even have to be talking to them through a microphone or anything like that. All you just need to do is half the time is just go ahead and just type something on there on a Facebook comment or on Zoom. But it will get shown by something. Again, doesn't make as much as an impact as, raising your hand and going up to a pulpit and having your 2 minutes just talk. No. But is it a lot easier now and is a lot more efficient to get the voice heard out there and, more active? Yeah. So there's some pros and cons to it. It's probably a lot easier now for us in our generation, which we're more tech savvy. It's a lot easier to get involved. So
most of us.
Yeah. Again, even if you're in school, man, I mean, everybody's got their phone in school. I mean, I don't know what your policies are in your schools or whatnot, but I'm pretty sure in class,
it's not
have it underneath and just.
It's not Orwell and all that stuff like that.
I know. But yeah, look, you gotta find the time. I mean, look, if now they're making it online, I mean, there's basically no excuse now that, you know, oh, I can't get involved in my board's local transportation meetings. Like, you don't even have to drive there anymore. You don't have to catch a bus, or you don't have to get anybody to get you a ride. You just gotta go on here, and you're fine. And everybody's got one of these.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I mean, I wish you the best of luck. I mean, look, there's a lot happening in Virginia here. Like, this is just from
There's like a ton of
yeah.
projects but right now, I'm basically exhausted.
I know, man. Take a break. Don't worry. But yeah, look. I don't know if you have a chance, but the High Speed Rail Alliance came out with Derek James from Amtrak. He's in charge here of the Midwest, but he came out with talking a little bit about Virginia. $3.7 billion for Transforming Rail in Virginia initiative announced in December of 2019. So yeah, just take a look at that. And
yeah, but you know what I'm gonna say, like, it's not enough.
I know it's not enough, but it's a start. And if it's not enough, just
baby steps. But I feel like
tell them it's not enough then.
It's been a literal decade, and they said they've been doing this since the 90s.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Look.
Ethan, can I add something to that?
Yeah. There's a lot.
Can you hear this?
Yeah.
That's a $1, and in Belgium we have the saying like $1, €1 is the beginning of a million. So it's not enough money, not at all. But it's a beginning, and you're gonna get somewhere. Once the snowball starts running, rolling down the hill, you're gonna get a bigger snowball, and everything's gonna get there. So I know you're pretty, you have your facts, your files.
But another thing is that if it gets approved by the voters.
Yeah, but that's why you should go to like these public hearings and talk to your friends and family. Like, hey, you should vote in favor of this because this, and that. Trains are not going to run off themselves. It always needs a little bit of help from us. So, if you go to a state hearing and say like, hey, we should invest more, but you're doing great so far, and we should focus on this, and this. Just get the snowball even rolling. Like, give it a small push so it rolls big from the hill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll get there, man. All right. I wish you the best. Okay. Good luck, and
all right. I'll see you in the next stream.
Yeah. And best of luck to your father going to Kuwait over there. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Of course.
All right.
Oh, man. I love talking to people like you can actually hear different opinions. It's really great to do that.
Yeah, that's a good thing. These have been fun. But look, it's happening in different states. So this is in Illinois. So this is something happened. Here we go. Measure sponsored by State Senator Steve Stadelman, Democrat of Rockford, Illinois, to create a commission making a statewide network of new and existing passenger rail lines a reality, passed committee on Tuesday. And he said, quote, creating a high-speed rail network would provide a fast, safe, and reliable way to travel across the state. Again, the obvious that we know about high-speed rail. So they're creating the High-Speed Railway Commission in the state of Illinois to assist the state and organizations like the High-Speed Rail Alliance, which produced a plan to create a high-speed rail system from Chicago to St. Louis within the next 10 years, and to coordinate that. Connecting Rockford to Chicago through rail has always been one of my top priorities, Stadelman said. Investing in a network like this would further expand travel opportunities for the residents of Rockford and for the rest of the state. So it will connect between through Rockford, Malloy, Peoria, Decatur, and of course terminate in Chicago and in St. Louis. The final goal is to modernize and integrate all train systems in Illinois into one connected high-speed rail network. So again, this is the type of stuff that we're looking at in states. Look, and that's going to be a lot more. That's going to move a lot more envelopes forward than a federal plan would. So good on Illinois for doing that. That's the type of thing that we need. And of course, look at Brightline, what they're doing asking for ways that it can make it easier for private companies to get involved, making it a lot easier to get approvals and cutting the timeline down of building these projects. Because again, these environmental impact studies, they take forever to get done. It doesn't take that long to go ahead and get people's opinion on whether a project is going to be good for the area or bad, or whether it's going to create an environmental impact. Okay, we already know trains aren't better for the environment. All right, of course, yeah. But what the EPA does it's not just about the environment. When we talk about birdies and trees, we're talking about the impact as a whole of the environment, like of people's livelihoods, etc. So that's kind of what they delve in. But the comment periods for that take way too long. The EPA takes too long in putting together their research and their comments, and stuff like that. So instead of companies going ahead and building, they're waiting on the EPA to get that done. So that's the type of stuff that needs to be moved about. But again, good things are happening. So Amtrak is getting the okay for the Wolverine. I believe, no, this is not the Wolverine. So parts of Michigan is getting 110 mile an hour trains. So they're getting faster trains between Kalamazoo and Albion.
The Chicago-Detroit service.
Yeah. Okay. Also announced Monday was an additional Pontiac Detroit Chicago Wolverine service round trip returning July 19th. The Wolverine has been operating with one daily round trip following the temporary suspension of 2 other trips in March 2020 due to the pandemic. All right, so look, things are moving forward, guys. So we are getting there. So I think that's basically it for now. I mean, I do have some other articles, but I'm trying to make these streams a little bit quicker. So yeah, there we go. We're at 9:36. We're in an hour and a half. So I think that's a good place to end it, unless there's anybody comments that that are in here that we can talk about. So let's hear from the comments here, because there's nobody next in line here in our Discord. But if you want to get on Discord, we'll give you 5 minutes to get on board, and we'll go from there.
Maybe can you share the link in the chat?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share the link. I'm pretty sure I had it on there.
In chat, But I'm gonna read through some chat, some interesting questions. I see Anne Bryant having an interesting question. What's your favorite train coach, bi-level or gallery cars, or you on the road cars? Bryant, I've only been on the gallery cars, and from a European point of view, I pretty much like they feel old. Like the coach I've been in was probably from the 60s or 70s. But I've also been in the modern version, and I actually really like them. So I gotta say gallery cars, just because they're so much fun. Okay, JD77, thanks for adding that. I already thought that this 110 mile per hour section because I saw it on YouTube, but it's great to see that you're actually extending it. So all right, Eric Gustafsson. Debunk the NPR garbage. You know what that is, Demetrius? The NPR garbage?
I'm not quite sure what he's referring to, but if NPR is garbage, yeah, I agree with that. That's our national public radio here in the United States. It's government funded. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of garbage that comes off of that. I mean, I'm not attacking anybody on NPR, but I'm just saying NPR as a whole. I'm not a fan of it. Let me see what other comments are over here. Yeah, Jeanette Sanchez. I love Brightline trains. I agree. Again, this has been one of the best things that's been happening in this country. I don't know about a Brightline system for the entire United States. That's not something that they plan on doing. They want to focus on routes that are going to be successful, that are going to connect different cities and regions together. Okay. Like Florida and like Las Vegas to Los Angeles. Now, they are thinking about probably the next thing that once they get that done, they are probably thinking about Atlanta to Charlotte, North Carolina. That's probably a possibility that they've been thinking about. And, of course, there are some senators and representatives, House representatives in the state of Illinois that would like Brightline to go over there and complete something between Chicago and St. Louis. What would be the possibility of that? I don't know. Because right now Brightline is just focusing on one thing. It's just getting done to Orlando and, of course, getting Las Vegas to Los Angeles. So that's what it is.
Yeah. I see something interesting that I can pick onto. It's hey, what's your opinion on the North-South Station link in Boston? That's from FR. Alright, short name. That's easy for me to pronounce. But the North-South link in Boston, that's actually pretty interesting because that reminds me of the North-South junction in Brussels. You know the North-South junction in Brussels, Demetrius?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, so in the 1950s, until the 1950s, in Brussels we have the North Station and the South Station, and you could travel between the stations by taking the tram or streetcar, pretty much like in Boston right now. And in the 1950s, they actually built, and since the 1930s, they actually built a train tunnel, and that's now like a train tunnel that has 1,200 trains a day or 200 trains per track, since they have 6 tracks. So FR, so the North-South link, it's actually pretty interesting because I believe that should be, you know, basic. I believe that every city should have a cross-city link, railroad link. So I hope that they don't make the same mistake as we made in Brussels. In the 1950s, we only built 6 tracks. So I hope in Boston, at least they're gonna go for 8 tracks because it's gonna be needed. Trust me.
Yeah.
So if they're gonna build it, make it a big dick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we are dealing with trains. I mean, they're large rolling sort of phallic objects, you could say. But yeah. Okay, so Eric Gustafson is saying Florida's Brightline Railroad is the nation's deadliest after high rate of track thefts. That's an NPR article. Let me see if I can bring that up. Because I'm pretty sure I talked about that before. You know, you're talking about like, oh, it's America's killer train and whatnot. And the thing is that, look, people in South Florida, let's put it this way, aren't the brightest bulbs in the batch. That's one way we can say that. And 2, the thing with Brightline is that they've done all they can and more in terms of public education and their due diligence, more than their due diligence as a private company, in order to make sure and ensure safety and say, hey, you know, the railroad is private property of the Florida East Coast, okay? You shouldn't be jaywalking and crossing the railroad, or you shouldn't be trying to beat the train, okay? The train's going faster than, you know, your freight railroads, okay? This is not Fast and Furious. You're not going to be Paul Walker and Vin Diesel coming out of of the tracks, okay? Yeah. That's just BS. That's Hollywood. You're not going to be able to do that. This will kill you, okay? But people don't listen, all right? That's not Brightline's fault. Okay, Brightline has done all they can. Okay, and believe me, if they had, you know, an unlimited budget to go ahead and do a higher right of way and have it, you know, on a higher grade, they would. Okay, but the construction for that, the construction timeline with that would be ridiculously long. And B, you wouldn't have a train running that you can have just right now, which is what we need to have now. In terms of Brightline West, that's going to be completely different because that's going to be a completely different right-of-way. That's going to be, you know, it's not going to be no grade crossings or anything like that. And it's going to be double-tracked the way through and a full 200 or 220 mile an hour train. Okay? So that's a whole completely different thing. And, of course, the train, the rail tracks that they're building between Cocoa and Orlando, again, no grade crossings and full speed 125 miles an hour. So yeah, this whole thing that NPR is doing is just to go ahead and get clicks, like this character here from Greg Allen who wrote that. You know, and again, look, it even has it here in the article, no trespassing, and they have to put in the Spanish here, no traspasar. Okay, but you know, people don't read. That's South Florida, period. So I mean, that's a whole other thing. We do have one more caller on the line. Hello, it's Hello is next on the line. So I'll just go ahead and put a 30-second warning for that. And then after that, we'll probably go ahead and end the stream. We'll finally have a sub 2-hour stream here. Yeah, we're trying to be more timely here. So we know everybody's got other stuff to do, and we're trying to make shorter streams. But I know people love being on the stream. So again, well, we'll do what we can. Prowlin Brightline has no partners. That's not true. They do have whatchamacallit, what's the railway safety organization that we have over here? I forgot. Operation Lifesaver. Yeah, they have partnered with Operation Lifesaver. Trust me, they've done all they can and more to make sure that people know about that. All right, so let's bring Hello, it's Hello on the line.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Doing all right. How about you?
So I was wondering if we could talk a bit more about like California, like the various sort of high-speed rail projects within California.
Sure.
Just discussing those things, because I feel like in terms of like Brightline West and California HSR, I feel like Brightline West is getting like a lot of this clout, and then people treat California HSR like it's the worst thing that's ever happened in the state.
Yeah.
They've already stolen hundreds of billions of our dollars and whatnot, and I feel like that is partially due to just the fact that it's a state entity, and that they state entities usually are like, they're looked down upon in many cases.
Yeah, which is funny enough, like in a state like California, you wouldn't think that would happen, but yeah, I think it's more to do that, especially metropolitan places like San Francisco and LA, now see it as a threat and misallocation of funds from their perspective.
Yeah.
That instead of having funding for their for their local projects, it's now being siphoned off to the Central Valley. Okay, and people in these metropolitan areas in the Central Valley don't get along. Okay, there's basically like two different states over there.
I live in LA, and there are some crazy motherfuckers in the Central Valley, but yeah, I feel like it's the reason people want to see like instant benefits. Like they want to see, oh, look, train moving, cool, that's great, I support this. But instead, it's like, oh, they see it on TV, and they're like, Madera and Fresno, where's that? And then they're obviously against it because they don't see tangible benefits like immediately. Although on the other hand, Brightline West, people in LA also aren't going to see Brightline West benefits immediately, because it's going to be from Vegas to Victorville, which is a city north of San Bernardino, which is a city like 30 miles east of downtown LA. So they have a bit of a ways to go.
Yeah. It's just the funny thing. I'm sorry to interrupt, but here's like I bring up California High-Speed Rail Authority, and the first thing that comes up is from Railways Explained, which is a good channel. And the thing is, the California HSR mega project, will it ever be completed? That is the first thing on the thumbnail. That's the first thing people see when they search up California High-Speed Rail Authority.
Yeah. They see that, and they're like, oh, they immediately kind of doubt it. Whereas like Brightline, like the Brightline West, or like any Brightline video or Texas Central for that matter also, it's like leading the way or something like that.
Yeah.
Although actually, shit, I just realized the title of the live stream is Leading the Way.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
But I mean, technically, in talking about Brightline, actually, they credit where credit's due. They're doing a really good job.
Oh yeah.
And, like currently in the Florida one, they are doing a really good job, and I do believe that they should get credit for that. And by the way, Brightline, continue doing a good job. It's important.
Yeah,
I do believe that that the sort of public image of California high-speed rail is definitely not tilted in their favor.
Yeah, and again, it's not a good thing for them. And again, we support the project. It's just it's the reality of it. We're not trying to sugarcoat things, and we're trying to be real here. And there's some other organizations that don't try to be real, and they're saying, everything's being great and it's all sunshine and rainbows, and all they wear is rose-colored glasses. But here we are wearing our fake Chinese pit vipers, and we can still see the reality of it. It's what it is. But hopefully, I see what you're saying about Victorville, and again, I'm not that all pleased that it's going to Victorville. I understand what they're trying to do is that they can't go straight on into Las Vegas. Into Los Angeles. But the thing is that they'll still have the train up and running. And there probably will still be some people that will drive from Los Angeles and go to Victorville in order to go ahead and take the train. Even though at that point, maybe you could drive the whole way through, but if you get there right on time, it will be quicker. You're going 220 miles an hour.
Yeah, although what's interesting is that Victorville does have an Amtrak station, I believe, on the Southwest Chief. So the Southwest Chief, I think it stops in like Union State. It goes from like Union Station, and then San Bernardino, and then Victorville, and then Barstow. And what's great is that technically, as long as Amtrak can negotiate with BNSF to get a few more spots on the already kind of congested Cajon Pass, the Cajon subdivision, or even the UP Mojave subdivision, which runs parallel through the Cajon Pass, they could negotiate running like sort of Amtrak and sort of support Brightline West shuttles from Union Station to Victorville.
Yeah.
Which I think would be kind of an interesting thing to support. That would also work if you wanted to use that concept for a service between like Bakersfield and LA to support the like California High-Speed Rail Central Valley segment and make it useful.
Yeah, and I think that would be a good opportunity for Amtrak, because Amtrak has been stating over and over again that they want to work with Brightline in sort of doing their ticketing system. Brightline is not going to allow that to happen because their ticketing system, the truth is, the Brightline ticketing system is far superior. Okay, it's a lot easier. Yeah, it's just a lot easier to get a ticket. Yeah, but when it comes to doing connections, and that's what Amtrak is trying to do with Texas, as well as, you know, if they could do this in California, in saying to have a connection between Las Vegas and Victorville, and then you can be able to, on the same ticket, you can get on your Brightline train. That's an opportunity for Amtrak. That's where they can be able to get something.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the benefits there of having.
Okay, but actually, I'm gonna look I'm now gonna look from your European perspective, but you know, it would be quite interesting if there would be a Victorville, LA Metrolink service. You know, that from Victorville you could actually electrify the train lines until LA Union Station. That would be quite interesting for Metrolink, as well as you would have, you know, electrified commuter rail line. Because, you know, Caltrain is already using the Stadler KISS trains, so you could actually use the same KISS EMUs for Metrolink, especially now Metrolink is forced to actually remove the prime movers from the F59 units because of the F125. So
the F125 suck. They have terrible reliability.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm just gonna say they look they look aesthetically very displeasing. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah.
They look like they're.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but to build on top of that, yes, the EMD F125s are ugly and perform terribly. What would be interesting is that on a tangent of this, electrifying some or all parts of Metrolink would be really beneficial. Like, for example, like especially electrifying the surf line between LA and San Diego, that is really important. That would really help because you have Coaster, which is San Diego's commuter rail system, would then be fully electrified, and then the Metrolink Orange County line would be completely electrified. The Pacific Surfliner, now keep in mind that the Coaster and the Pacific Surfliner both use SC-44 Siemens chargers. Now, I might be wrong, and there's a good chance I am, but even though no American railroad has jumped for it, the chargers have a pantograph option, so you could integrate that electrification with the California HSR electrification, and then say, okay, now we're just going to run, like, some, like, maybe Ventura County line also, because the Surfliner shares that San Bernardino line, which also gets quite a lot of traffic anyway. So they could, in fact, basically electrify a lot of those lines, and then, because economies of scale exists, the more you electrify, the more worth it becomes to buy a new electrified rolling stock, and then they could, like, maybe run a half and half fleet with some electrified and some unelectrified. And it would allow reroute options for if, like, say, Brightline West or like California High-Speed Rail couldn't, like, use their dedicated corridors. For example, if, say, like, let's just create a hypothetical world in, like, 2050 where Phase 2 of California High-Speed Rail it does exist. Because I'm really hopeful for Phase 1, and I do believe that they will be able to pull it off, albeit extremely delayed. But Phase 2 I'm kind of doubtful for. But if Phase 2 exists, and it runs obviously between LA Union Station and San Diego, but in the Highcast has joined. Interesting. But in the in the instance where, say, like, some schmuck crashes a helicopter into Phase 2 of California high-speed rail, I don't know. I just came up with that scenario. Trains could run via the coast, via the shoreline, not shoreline, sorry, surfline. It's kind of, I always forget, it's like, is it coastline, shoreline, or surf? It's surfline. To
Surfliner.
San Diego.
Yeah.
I believe the service is called the Surfliner because when Santa Fe built it, they called it the Surf Line. Like, that was the name of the line. And then trains could be rerouted via the Surf Line to San Francisco, which does allow for a lot of flexibility in terms of routing and stuff. You see that in Europe, where, like, if an LGV line has to be closed, trains can just run via the conventional lines.
Yeah. Actually,
Ruben might know a lot more about that, but
yeah, that you're not in my train, kiddo. But yeah, but it's actually really interesting to say that because from a European perspective, the surf line, via the Del Mar bluffs. Actually, what would happen if it was a European thing? Would actually have upgraded that to high speed or four-tracked some sections, and then we would have diverted some sections, but we would actually would have followed that trajectory for a very long time. So it's actually quite interesting because most of the time the U.S. rail lines already follow the most efficient path. That's actually the most interesting thing. But yeah, I'm pretty skeptical about Phase 2, and actually I hope, I've said it before, LA San Diego should be the first line to be built, but I think by now the California High Speed Rail project would actually profit a lot if the more regular train lines would be electrified. Electric Metrolink. I don't think anyone would oppose that because it would have improved service. And let's be honest, the Stadtkies trains, I've rode them in Austria, Switzerland, Germany. They're extremely comfortable trains. Like, from every ride I took with them, I've always fallen asleep because they're so comfortable.
Yeah, although actually, on talking about problems with like electrifying Metrolink, BNSF, the Cajon Pass, the Cajon subdivision, is already like the only good route from the sort of desert area of the like Nevada and Arizona, and in some parts of like Utah and Colorado and New Mexico into LA. It's one of the major portions of the Southern Freight Transcontinental, and it is like chocked full of capacity. BNSF, I mean, it's on a mountain pass, so they barely have any room to add more tracks. And if you were to run like even hourly Metrolink service, BNSF would get really mad at you because you'd be getting in the way of their precious freight cargo. And so that would also be the problem with routing Brightline West trains over there.
Yeah.
Because even though, yes, it does connect basically directly to the San Bernardino line for Metrolink, extending the San Bernardino line through the Cajon Pass has some major scheduling issues, which is actually kind of why I think Brightline West is going to go... from an economics and scheduling standpoint, it makes much more sense to go like north along the mountain range that separates the LA basin from the desert. I forget what it's called, even though I live there for some reason. To Palmdale, then have like your flying junction with California High Speed Rail, and then if they wanted to like play it economically, they'd say, okay, here, this is the state's track, we're going to let them pay for like the 27 miles of tunnel between Palmdale and Burbank, and we'll just piggyback off of that. It's cheaper for them, and even though it will take them another 10 years to deal with it, they do save lots of money off of that. So like they could institute like interim reduced service and a shuttle from like a Brightline West shuttle from Union Station to Victorville, operated possibly by Metrolink, or maybe even as an Amtrak California service, and then Or maybe they could even build out to Palmdale, and sort of California, the state would build, as part of a California high-speed rail network, the isolated Palmdale station. Because Palmdale already has connections. It's on the Antelope Valley line. They could have connections there, and then people could jump onto a Metrolink train, and they wouldn't have to change any Metrolink services or get in the way of BNSF or UP, which would be beneficial for them. And it's basically flat desert that they're building across. So it's going to be cheaper.
I agree, and there's a whole lot of possibilities in here. I'm just sorry to interrupt because we do have we're getting into our hard stop over here at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate it. We should probably bring up like just the live stream, just talking about California high-speed rail. And again, I did bring in Scott Jarvis, the chief engineer. I don't know if he's still chief engineer of the California High-Speed Rail Authority, but he seemed pretty level-headed, and he had a lot of good things to say. So let's see if maybe we can bring somebody on board. And again, we support the project. We hope for the best for the project. We just have a lot of concerns that we hope can be addressed, and maybe if our fears can be allayed, if somebody from the California High Speed Rail is watching this, or somebody who has connections to it is watching this, we would like to have somebody on board to go ahead and allay our fears and tell us that, you know, we're out of our gourd and everything is fine. All right. Well, not
that would actually be great.
That would be great.
Information directly from the someone who's in the authority.
But man, it is hot in here, and all this talk about the Mojave sometimes makes me wish for a nuclear winter. I just had to bring that up because I'm cracking open a sarsaparilla. So there we go.
Yeah. As long as you keep Mr. House alive.
Yeah. No, I was more of a Caesar's Legion guy.
Although actually, just one little quick thing before you guys may have to close the stream because it is getting kind of late.
Okay.
On the topic of them having all these sort of mismanagement and doing things really efficiently problems, I guess in my opinion this might just be me, but having kind of skimmed through the recent business plans and some various various memoranda about progression with the sort of more political side of things, I've noticed that they, compared to something you'd read from 2012, they have gotten a lot of their shit together.
Yeah.
But they definitely still have a long way to go.
They do.
To reach the level of corporate and kind of all the sort of paperwork side of efficiency that, say, Brightline would have gotten to by now.
Yeah, they have done better, and that's the thing. Brightline has mostly had positive, I would say positive news, of course, apart from the crash. Which, again, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
And, of course, the NIMBY saying, well, they're taking our roads, or, stuff like that, or, it's going to create noise, and all that type of BS.
Toll agencies being dicks.
Yeah.
That's another big thing.
Look, there's certainly ways about it. But what California is doing right now, they're getting a lot of bad press. Is it their fault? It's kind of been because of what they've done, but there's ways that they can be able to go ahead and solve it. They just need to start having they need to be better on the timelines. That's all it is. But anyway, hello. I appreciate you coming on board again. It's always a pleasure when you're on. Thank you.
Yeah, you have a pretty good input, man.
Have a great evening.
You too.
You too as well, dude.
See ya.
Ciao.
All right. Yeah. And Jack is on board now. Our other conductor.
I'm pretty late.
Yeah.
I see.
That's all right. But no, it's glad to have you on here, even though it's we're at the tail end of everything. But it's been a pretty good evening, and I think we're right there for our first 2-hour stream.
Whoa! Look at that!
On time. So everybody in the comments, it looks like we're all talking about California here. Someone's talking about how the Caltrain electrification is going. They're going ahead of them. Yeah. So that's one project that's actually getting done.
Yeah, I actually follow that project. So what's his name? Adam, the producer. Okay, so I've followed the project, and I know right now between San Jose and San Mateo, they're actually pretty good. And at Millbrae, they're kind of, waiting. So San Mateo, San Jose, they're getting it done. Some sections are already electrified, so that's going on pretty well. They're good. So that was a question I actually knew how to answer. Look at me being efficient about the US.
Yeah, they're moving ahead. They're making new stations. They're getting everything done. Let me see if I can try to bring up like some of the more recent videos from Caltrain about their electrification. But yeah, they've been doing well. It's something like that. If they could have done that, California High Speed Rail next to Caltrain, that probably would have been an easier thing to get done. Like if they started from San Francisco to Sacramento, or like I said, like Los Angeles to San Diego, probably would have been the better option. But it's done. It's what it is. Look at that.
California High Speed Rail Authority could have done was just simply cut out the Central Valley segment and done the electrification in the Bay Area as well as their segment from Los Angeles to San Diego.
Yeah. But, it's what it is now. So, they got the hand they dealt with. They got to finish it up now. So that's just the reality of it. But anyway, I think we're all set. Yeah. Let's start closing it up because we're heading toward the end of the road here. All right. So, anything else? Any last words we want to put in before we close it off?
I'd say subscribe to our channel, follow our Facebook page, share this video around.
I keep forgetting that. Yeah, guys, put a like if you're watching right now. Go ahead and put a like on this video so it helps us out with the algorithm. And of course, if you guys want to join us and you want more, make sure that bell on the subscribe is ring so anytime we're online or whenever a new video gets on board. And it's been a lull in the videos, guys. I understand. I am working on that. I'm going to take a break from the New York thing because every time I get on there, it's just a terrible bout of writer's block. I got a whole lot of footage from Cincinnati that I want to put up and talk a little bit about a revival of streetcars. So I may try to bring that out so we have like something at least in the meantime while I'm getting the New York Tokyo thing done. But yeah, we've been, again, like our videos, subscribe, ring that bell because we have a
Discord server.
Yeah, and the Discord server. Yeah, so we can have more talk like this because this has been really moving conversations and it's not just me talking. So you guys know I'm not insane. There's a whole lot of people that share the same ideas.
Yeah, especially. And if you want more of me, just write in chat I love Ruben and reactions, or any chat, just write I love Ruben more. Share the video around, like the Facebook page, and talk about trains. And if you want to feel like, make a difference, go to a Department of Transportation meeting and talk about trains.
Yeah.
And let's get this train rolling.
Like I said, guys, it can be done. Thank you all for writing. Thank you all for joining us on board. We will see you all next time. Take care.
Bye.
Ciao. Ciao.